Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Omiso with Fighter Fit Athletics. We are with our Fall in Love with Fitness Summit series. This one is titled Dig Your Health. We are with lovely Amanda here. She is with Four Directions Holistic Counselling based in
Fort,
Edmonton.
Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta.
Can you share who you are, where you're coming, where you're dialing in from, and the stage is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for having me and just being part of this experience and uplifting all the amazing people that are wanting to do health and wellness in a good way. And this creates an avenue for people to kind of connect and find out more information, and especially that's Indigenous led and Indigenous owned, and uplifting each other in a good way. And my name's Amanda Balsley. I am an Indigenous mental health therapist. I am the owner and CEO for Four Directions Holistic Counselling. That's located in Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta. I love providing services. And as Ryan was saying, I do work with children and youth, individual sessions, couple sessions, just really trying to bring it all together and heal those on their journey, because I feel like there's areas that we can improve on as practitioners and helping those on their mental health journey. So being born in Yellowknife, I was raised with a lot of intergenerational trauma, and as an Indigenous person, many other Indigenous people similarly face intergenerational trauma in today's society. And how do we overcome those barriers, and how do we work on ourselves, both physically, emotionally, mental health, and spiritually? So really encompassing the medicine wheel on our personal wellness journeys. And I really appreciate you inviting me onto this platform, especially with the Fall in Love with Fitness, because physical, I really touch base on that in mental health sessions when I work with clients, and asking them, are they working out? Are they going for walks? Because, walks really boost our mood, and just nature is just so calming in itself. And so, that fitness part, we do have to integrate that into our wellness journey 100%. So I've moved a lot, faced a lot of obstacles growing up, and I really sensed a need that, for me personally, I wanted to be eventually a healer or a helper, helping Indigenous people grow, just knowing the barriers that we've had in previous decades. And I'm wanting to move forward in providing Indigenous mental health services in a really good way. When I decided to go into private practice, I was thinking of names, and I really honored being Dene and being land-based, because I really go back to the land for medicine, for my own healing. Four Directions in itself is honoring north, east, south, and west. So the four directions, and wherever we are in our lives, wherever we turn, we're going in a direction, and we're gonna be able to move forward, and knowing that each direction comes in a wellness that's holistically tied within our own spiritual being, within our community, within our family systems, and it keeps growing.
So I know there. Can you dive just a recap, or can you dive into the medicine wheel, how that ties in?
Yeah, 100%. The medicine wheel I use in my professional setting, where I'm kind of decolonizing therapy in a sense. We do have a lot of westernized modalities, which I honor and I'm learning about. But how do we decolonize therapy? So we're incorporating some of these beautiful cultural pieces into providing services. And so the medicine wheel for me is part of my assessment tool when working with clients. Yeah, so I generally ask for consent from my clients of can I work around the medicine wheel with you? And so I usually start off with how is your physical self? And when I'm looking at your physical self, I'm asking are you getting those walks? Are you exercising, drinking plenty of water? How's your sleep pattern? Because that all encompasses your physical self. And also honoring that many people are struggling with pain management. And so that's where I kind of ask about, where are you holding that pain in your body too? Then I eventually move into emotional, and just asking how they've been feeling emotionally. Are they stressed, anxious, depressed? That gives a little time to really kind of talk about their emotional status of what brought them into counseling. And then I kindly move into mental health, as Have they ever experienced mental health issues before? And just moving from there into the spiritual. And usually I do spiritual / kind of like self-care. So it's like, if they don't practice spirituality, then I kind of like, what are you doing for self-care? How are you bringing balance? How are you nourishing your spirit in a sense?
Nice. Yeah, no, it's very ties to very, very similar to, to my approach with fitness. If you want to, you'll make sure that, for a personal trainer, yeah, we are working on fitness, but, to making sure that how you show up to the workout session is like, are you getting proper sleep?
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. It creates that more mindfulness that we need just to check in with ourselves and how are we doing in our own little medicine wheels and the areas that we can improve in.
So like, for example, let's say just for, for the audience at home, like, okay, well, what would you recommend? Well, like, is there like a couple of check marks that we can do for each quadrant that you would recommend?
Yeah, I always tell my clients that, your medicine wheel, it kind of gives that internal or mindfulness dialogue of like, when you're waking up and you're taking some moments with your coffee, you're starting your new day, just to check in, with your medicine meal. Like, am I nourishing myself well today? Am I going to go for that walk today? How am I feeling emotionally today? I feel like gradually, as you incorporate the areas of the medicine wheel into your life, the easier it will become to check in for sure.
Now, so just for like, what would you consider are examples of like a trigger? I know certain things a trigger could be meaningful in a different sense of like recovery or, so what would you define or help the audience define a trigger?
Yeah, so triggers can range from, situations that are completely out of your control, but within your environment. That's really impacting our nervous systems. And so when we're noticing our nervous systems a bit amped up, how are we being mindful? So
like, I know that's another reason why I kind of wanted to create this summit series, is to highlight coaches like yourself and your story and what you're doing to really showcase that light, that there is positivity in the world. Because I know when I look at social media, there's certain things that can be a negative input, and I don't want to have that negative input in my life. I want to have that positive light, like that you're doing with your clients, and to showcase other people's journeys and successes, and also setbacks for other people that like, okay, well, I'm going down a similar path as this person, or a client that you've been working with, and what are the obstacles so I can overcome that faster and quicker, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like more Indigenous people are recognizing, there's a lot of Indigenous people that want to put forward good faith and good progress in our economy, but also in the healing that we're trying to do with one another.
She shared with us how like it's unfortunate that there's certain communities that we have that lateral violence, and to navigate that and to show to share our stories, but also to work with, but how to seek out your services and seek out your Four Directions holistic healing. By how do I overcome this in a positive way? Like, kind of recommend, I know it's hard to say, but how would you recommend for a community or for someone's social circle to address perhaps self-hatred, or what should I say?
Yeah, like people that are really stuck in those heavy moments, and they feel that they can't move forward or move on, or that they're facing lateral violence in their community, but they have to remain in their community still and try to live with the lateral violence. So it's almost like many of our people are still stuck in a survival state. And it's kind of been like how, for me, example, I know that I've been in survival mode pretty much for all my life. And I'm finally realizing that I have control of how I move forward in a good way. And that if I keep providing, like you said, positive outcomes, working with, creating a sense of caring and compassion and empathy, not labeling, not judging, but just being a welcoming space that, another relation can come work with me, or come be with me, or just come sit and just have a good conversation to listen to each other's stories.
Like, what would you recommend to that person who's unsure of counseling?
I've had a few clients in that way, that they're, the hardest step is reaching out for help. And usually a lot of people are very, like, they're stressed out, they're tapped out, they can't they can't connect with family because they're fear of being judged, or they're holding shame. And so I just say, like, I am here to listen. And when you feel ready, that, please reach out and know that I will be here to offer a safe space for you to talk about those very heavy moments in your life.
That is a safe space.
Yeah, definitely loved it. Definitely, and you have to have a community, a strong community that raises children and youth and supports youth in their growth. And I really felt that in the community that I lived in.
So for the parents out there, what would you recommend to help with dealing with stress with the child, or something maybe you experienced with a success case study, perhaps with the parent and child? Like, what would you recommend?
And so even as like a mental health therapist, and I do write some reports, just, I guess, advocating for the children that I work with and their needs. And part of that is really finding that social, emotional, and community connection. And so I'd often recommend that the children are put into like extracurricular activities to do, because not only it builds their sense of confidence, but also it builds that teamwork and also that a healthy attachment to their instructor or to their group. Because many children often not have come from dysregulated family systems, or even their upbringing, or they're in the child welfare system.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's awesome, because like, also thinking of, Vancouver, and, unfortunately the age out situation, when a youth turns 18, they don't have access to certain programs anymore. But to have programs at a younger age where they can teach or kind of instill values of teamwork, of being self-reliant, and to have the skill set to not to get hired, but also to expand into their education, right?
Yeah.
So having professionals like yourself to showcase, to tell the clients, or to tell the parents, like, look, even though they're at this age here, you have to think of, like, when they become adults or teenagers, you want to make sure that skill set is implemented now, so they have a higher success rate. Because I know, just from reading books of First Nations background, it's always these negative stats. That's another reason why too I wanted to showcase you, everyone here speaking, is the positive aspect of overcoming these stats. My history, with the heroin addiction and incarceration, I'm part of that stat, but I don't want to be part of that stat. Now, what would you kind of perhaps, if you were going to talk to your younger self, and what would any advice you would kind of give yourself in regards to career, in regards to self-improvement, or like anything that kind of pops to mind?
I feel that, if I were to give advice to my younger self, I feel I wouldn't be here today if I didn't, take chances. I even with Bears Lair, like I took a chance in applying. I never thought I would be on a national TV show like that, or being interviewed for documentaries, or doing keynote presentations, or, just put yourself out there, and, put good intentions when you're putting yourself out there, and keep working on yourself, because we all have self-doubt, and we all, it could stew, it could roll around. But if you're like, stop, I don't want to have that in my energy. And so letting that go and embracing the positivity and how you can contribute to the next generations to come.
Beautiful. That's one thing too, is just to look back and how I can, or how we can improve our community, because we need to see that and to address it, and not necessarily run from it, but or slide it under the rug, so to speak. But yeah, no, that is amazing to to tell yourself that, and to tell the future people coming through, because we have such wonderful, amazing youth coming through, and seeing what we're doing and how they can improve, and to have to go through it, and just go through it, like, even though, like, the Bears Lair, just go through it, put yourself out there, and making sure that your intention is to be coming from a good heart, right? Good heart position that will open the doors for many things to come, and to address certain things that may hold you back. And that's it is through counseling. But yeah, like, just to recap, who you are, what for counseling, just to tie things up here.
So please feel free to reach out. My name is Amanda Bosley. I'm the owner for Four Directions Holistic Counselling, and I offer services in a very holistic manner, and honoring you and your stories, and wanting to guide you and help you in a good way. Yeah, I'm actually been asked to do a keynote speaking engagement for next month in Calgary. So I'm working on my PowerPoint presentation, and just slowly getting out there, and kind of stepping out of my comfort zone as well.
And to put yourself out there, because the world needs to see you and your message.